maybe psychic and magic and paranormal powers are real, and maybe they cannot be measured. They cannot be verified. You can't put magic in a lab and have it work. It only works in the context of people doing the ritual in its proper place with believers around. I'm not willing to say it's all fake. I am willing to say that it's not verifiable, and no one's been able to verify psychic powers. Okay, so the Amazing Randi really hated this guy, Uri Geller. Now, he started this trick of spoon bending, and every time you look at him, you think he's bending these spoons with his mind. No, he'd just rub a spoon with his hand until it would bend. And, you know, Amazing Randi would do this all the time. Be like, oh, yeah, I'll bend a spoon. Look at that. I don't have any psychic powers. So what it is with spoon bending, which is still kind of a thing, is there are specific flaws in the metallurgy of spoons. As such, if you manipulate them in a certain way by rubbing them and whatnot and bending at the right angle, they'll just bend like nothing. I've seen people do it. Uri Geller was on TV one time and he bent like 3 spoons, and then Randi handed him a spoon. He's like, oh, I can't do it. And he's like, oh, yeah, I know you can't. Look, I can do this one. I can do this one. I can't do this one. You can't do it either. So Uri Geller's interesting to me because I see him as a colossal fraud. However, he never became a psychic healer. He was hired by various oil companies because he could psychically divine where they should dig for oil. And they never published his like success and failure rate, but he was paid well, and oil companies did say he was helpful. So you can be a fake, but you can still be real. Maybe he has psychic powers. Maybe they just can't be verifiable. And for Uri Geller, he ended up being quite rich and has done very well for himself, but he hasn't manipulated people. He's not that dreadful Jonathan Edwards who uses what they call cold reading in order to get psychic powers, which I could do with you right now. I'm thinking of an M. I'm thinking of an M. Who has an M? Is there an M? Is someone have an M in this room? An M means something. An M means something. Oh my goodness, it's a relative of yours, right? A friend. Yes, you lost a friend. A friend. Your friend was, they were named M. You lost a friend with M. There's an M in their name. Oh yeah, right. The name was Ariane Mitchell McCartney. That's 2 M's. That's 2 M's. It's definitely about her. I can tell that she died young, old, no, and middle age. Yes, in middle age, it's very solid. They do this thing where they can watch your head and your eyes and the way you move, and through cold reading, you can totally, and I could teach you how to do it. It's not that hard, but you'll see people using this technique all the time. The worst of the hoaxers are the ones that use internet research to find out secret details of your life and whatnot before you show up. And that's not called a cold reading. That's called like a hot reading. And in that, they just already know the answers and fake like they're learning them. And trust me, it's always to their own end of getting money out of you. Okay, faking magic. So the Amazing Randi revealed all of these hoaxes. And I was just talking to you about how I hate psychic healers so much. One of my big irritations in the occult world is people who read tarot but don't read tarot. And we're going to talk, we'll have a whole day on tarot. Maybe I'll try an experiment where I actually read the tarot for the whole class over video, and we'll just see if it's applicable or not. Oh, that could be interesting. Anyway, sorry. Okay, so one of the things I hate about tarot readers is there are those who read the cards and interpret them. No problems there. The ones that bother me are the ones that like take a card. I don't have a tarot card with me right here. They're all behind me. Take a card, put it up to their head, and go, huh, I see someone's coming to visit you. And then they lay down the card, and it's like the Emperor. It's like, there's clearly someone's coming because it's the Emperor, whereas the Emperor actually has to do with an interior balance of yourself and life and opportunities that are having, blah, 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 blah. So they're not actually reading the cards. They'll lay out the cards, they'll look at them, and then they'll get a little vision in their head, and then they just tell you that. That's not tarot reading. That's more of like a psychic thing, and I don't care for it. So the Amazing Randi had a moment when he was doing sort of magic at one point for a small group, and someone came up to him and said, with all the skills you have, something along the lines of like, can you help me communicate with the dead? Or can these magics do this or that? Or can you grant me prosperity through these magic powers you clearly have for with your illusions? And he said he thought for a split second, I could do this. I could take everything I figured out how to do at this point, and I can use it to take people's money. And he realized at that point that he would never be a liar, but an honest liar. And he dedicated himself even more to his magical acts of illusions, but to debunking people that claim to have magic powers, specifically those that do it to inevitably hurt others. Now, what are my own fears? I have a parallel experience. For a long time, I was doing a pretty heavy tarot practice where I would go to bars. I would sit and I'd play my little game I call solitaire, where I'm just kind of working through things and looking at the way the cards work. And inevitably someone would come up and say, "Oh, is that tarot?" And I'd say, "Yeah." "Would you read for me?" And I'd say, "Yeah, but there needs to be like an exchange of energy." And they're like, "Well, I got some money." I'm like, "I don't want money. Buy me a beer." And they'd be like, "Oh, that's great." And I'd be like, "Oh, you're not paying me for this." There just needs to be an exchange there. And honestly, I have found that makes a huge difference when I do my readings. I do my reading, and I remember this one time looking in this guy's eye, and he was like, "So you're saying this is going to happen and then this, and then I should do this. Should I get another reading like after I do that to see if it'll work out the right way?" And I realized I could have this guy for every penny in his wallet right then. And I've had the experience a bunch of times. Whereas if I decided to just lie about the cards and follow the cues they were giving me for what they wanted to hear, they could have the most profound experience and I would be completely scamming them. And every time I feel that, I note it. So I know what Randy is saying when he said, I could use my powers for evil. So always be dubious. But yeah, I have this deep-seated anxiety about, because often, not to blow my own horn, I'm pretty good at tarot. And people regularly like, "Oh, whoa." And I'll have them take a picture of it and I'll say, "Yeah, call me up in a week. Tell me what happened and tell me what the cards mean now." And people are, I'd say 80% of people I read for have an incredibly positive experience with it. I could use it for evil. At this point, when I was doing my bar tarot sessions, what would happen is I just end up with like another person down the way, like, "Is he charging for tarot? No, I just want some beer." I'd have like 4 beers, and the next thing I know, somebody would be like, "Can we just get him a shot? Just shot, that was really good. I liked that." And then I'd be drunk. Sometimes if they had a whole bunch of beers, I'd start giving them around to people. Because when I do tarot, there needs to be this weird sense of exchange. I don't know why that's such a big deal, but it is. Okay, be a skeptic, not a stick in the mud. So be skeptical on these psychics. Be skeptical on tarot readers. Be skeptical about illusionists. Realize that, it's all for fun in a lot of ways until you take it too seriously and you get robbed. So be a skeptic. Don't be a stick in the mud. And honestly, Amazing Randy could kind of be a stick in the mud. Okay, fantasy magic. And here you see Penn and Teller, one of my favorite magical acts. I've seen a lot of their stuff. I've never seen them live. I will at one point. All right, fantasy magic and stage magic. Fantasy magic makes you believe something is real when it's not. There's a woman, the woman is cut in half. You believe something is real, but the woman is not actually cut in half, but you're seeing it with your own eyes. It's an illusion. Now, Teller describes in one interview that I heard recently, he splits between sort of your gut mind and your reflective mind. And he's drawing on a thinker named Daniel Kahneman, who talks about thinking fast and slow is the name of his book. I think it was in like 2012 or something like that, 2011. Sorry, I can't remember right now. So your gut mind is like, "Okay, that's what I see." And then your thinking mind is like, "All right, let me take it all in and ruminate on this." And what magic does is it takes your gut mind. You're like, "I just saw this amazing thing that shouldn't happen. And your reflective mind's like, "But that can't happen. Maybe he did this. Maybe he did that." But it's all screwed up. So it's an interesting moment. It's an enjoyable moment when you see something is not real, but it's happened as if it was real. It shakes you up a little bit. It does. Even if you know it's an illusion, it does make you kind of think. Maybe there are more things in heaven and earth than are dreamed of in your philosophy, Horatio, as was said in Hamlet. So with these sort of stage magics, these fantasy magic, it is arguably non-religious. They don't use religious symbolism in an overt way, as we do see in magic rituals. But I'd say there's something religious about it. And I'll get to that more in a second. They are not in a formalized ritual, but then again, the magician on the stage, the audience, the trappings, the outfits, there's something ritualistic to that performance. Kick that around.